Right. Hello and welcome to this meeting of the Shareholder and Joint Venture Group of Oxford City Council Companies on Wednesday the 27th of March 24. Today we're meeting in the Town Hall in person with some other colleagues joining us online. So we start with apologies for absence, and although I think there's a few people delayed, I'm not aware of any apologies, but Councillor Anna Relton.
I am here.
Yeah,
I am here, but Louise has just said that she is sending her apologies because she didn't realise she was meant to be at this meeting because she wasn't previously on this group, and now she is.
Okay, thank you. Noted. So Councillor Louise Upton, I think there's a few colleagues who might be joining us shortly. Are there any declarations of interest? No, I'm not seeing any. So scrutiny comments and or recommendations. So Catherine.
Yeah, thank you. We have received some comments from the public regarding land at Meadow Lane, and it's from a residents group, Friends of Iffley Village. It's referring to Ox Place, and since they're not on the agenda tonight, I have pointed the comments in the direction of the monitoring officer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Catherine. That seems appropriate. So thank you for that. Okay, in which case, let's move to item 4 on the agenda, which is Oxford City Housing Group, Oxford Direct Services Limited and Oxford Direct Services Trading Limited external auditor appointment. And this is a report from Nigel. So Nigel, would you like to talk us through it?
Yes, thank you, Chair. It's a straightforward report, basically. A reserved matter for the shareholder is the appointment of the external auditor for the companies. And what we try and do, basically, is try and get the same auditors for the group of companies, both in terms of ODS and in terms of OX Place. We've been out to tender, basically, for the audits commencing 23-24 through the Crown Commercial Services Framework for an audit lasting 3 years with the possible extension of 1 year. There were 10 expressions of interest, but unfortunately only one bidder basically bid for the contract. That bidder is the current incumbent in terms of Mazars, who also audits the OX Place books as well. And they've held the price that they will undertake the audit for this financial year of £70,000 for ODS, actually. So happy to take questions on it, basically, but the recommendation is the appointment of Mazars for the period, as I indicated. Thank you.
Thank you, Nigel. It doesn't sound like there's an enormous amount of choice in this particular recommendation, one way or another. So are there any questions or comments? Yes, Joey.
Thanks, Nigel. I just want to find out, or just for you to comment in terms of independence, because obviously when you break down the report, we find out that, you know, the officers and the Mazars work quite closely. So just worried about the independence of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think independent. I don't think Mazars would basically take the audit on if they weren't perceived to be independent, basically, and in carrying out their work, that's what we'd expect. I don't see any problem in terms of the interaction between officers and the external auditors. So yeah, I don't see there to be a problem. As I say, Mazars wouldn't take on the work if they felt that their independence was compromised by any way, indeed.
No, thank you, Nigel. Okay. Well, as I said, I don't think we seem to have much of a choice. We have to have an external auditor. There is only one applicant. They have been our previous auditor, and they have held the price. So it does feel like there are some positives, shall we say, in that process. Has anyone got any further comments or questions? No? Okay, well, in which case, can we move to approve the appointment of Mazars?
Fine.
Thank you very much. Okay, that was unanimous. So the next item on the agenda is the public part of the Barton Oxford LLP. And we're joined, I think, by Jane Winfield to talk us through this report. Jane.
that came on me a little bit quickly. I thought it was going to be a lot later. Yeah, I mean, I think that everybody will have read the report. I suspect that anything of interest might be in the confidential appendix. I think to note from the main report that obviously we've got the Barratt and Redrow merger sitting out there. Subsequent to writing that report, I note that has been, I'm going to use the word called in, by the Competitions and Markets Authority. I think that both Redrow and Barratt are relatively relaxed about that, so I suspect that merger may well go through. I think we've also had some small signs of optimism from the house builders, particularly around mortgage rates starting to come down. And I think also worthy of note is that we are putting some 20-mile-an-hour speed limit signs up. The view still is that once that middle road is built out properly, actually it will slow people down. And it seems that the speeding that was concerning the school actually has been by 2 individuals. And we've heard from the police that those 2 individuals may not be speeding other people's cars, shall we say, up and down the road as much as they were. I think to note, I'm not going to talk in detail about obviously the confidential appendix, but I think it's interesting to note that we have retailer interest, and that there is the potential for Vistry to sell on some units.
Thank you very much, Jane. Are there any questions or comments on this report? I mean, I'd just like to pick up a little bit, if I may, on the community employment plan, not least because I had a meeting earlier today with economic development team about not precisely this this development, but the issue of community employment plans generally. And I know that we are doing some work to see how we can support the market more generally, if you like, in terms of helping developers to find the right people and the right skills and support them with using community employment plans in a good way. And I just wondered if you or the Barton Partnership had been feeding in at all to that, because it would be helpful if you could sort of, as it clearly isn't going quite as well as we would hope.
Yeah. So this was something that was going, I would say it started extremely well. And then I think with the various things that have mergers, things that have happened, it had slacked off. And at I think it was our last board meeting, I got a little bit muscular about it and said, look, you know, there are clauses in these house builder contracts that say this has to be done. Now we need to start telling them that it has to be done. We had linked in with the with Carolyn's team, with the economic development team. So it's something that we are going to focus on, and actually, you know, I think Grosvenor have grown towards us in terms of all this good type of stuff, so they are similarly keen to really start to push on it.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to hear, and I think you're right. I think many companies are seeing the value in social value,
Absolutely,
and so hopefully we can get them to the table and make sure that they are fulfilling their obligations on this particular aspect. But yeah, very happy to see if there's more that we can do to support as well. Any further questions or comments? Yeah, Linda.
This is related to it's on the same topic, and Jane did touch on this, but the social value element, the community employment plan, it's not a nice to have, as you mentioned, Jane. You know, it is. It's in the contract, and these companies are winning the contracts. It could be, you know, because of points that they've earned, you know, for ticking these boxes. So I am concerned that it has slipped, and you know, just very keen that, you know, we catch up and we don't allow this to slip in future, that it is very clear that this is a key part of the contract that needs to be delivered, you know, and that we fully expect to be completed.
Yeah. I mean, the only comment I'd make on that, I suppose, is that obviously when we were selling these parcels of land, we were selling them as the LLP, and therefore we weren't procuring in line with the council's procurement requirements in terms of social value. But, and it is a big but, you know, you are quite right. We did we did think about social value, and we did make requirements in the contract. So we will be following those up going forward.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much for that. And I think we certainly would support you strongly in that, Jane. So you can pass that back as well. Thank you.
Cool.
Right. Any further questions or comments? No. In which case, can we note the contents of the report? Agreed. Thank you very much. So we now, I think, move on to the confidential part of the meeting. We will wish to exclude the press and the public from the meeting during consideration of the items that are exempt from publication on the agenda. Excuse me. And so it is necessary for us to pass a resolution in accordance with the provisions of paragraph 4 brackets 2 brackets B of the local authorities brackets executive arrangements brackets access to information brackets England regulations 2012 on the grounds that their presence could involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as described in specific paragraphs of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972.